Good afternoon, everyone. I see that it is 3:30, so let's get the meeting started. If I could have the other members of the Design Development Permit panel turn on their. Are we missing one panel member? Yes,
Looks like we're waiting for Mr. Allen.
Yes, we'll give him a minute or two then. Apologies. So we'll give him a moment. There you go. Michael's here. Okay, let's get started then. Good afternoon, everybody, again. Today is April the 24th, and you are here for the City of Richmond Development Permit panel. So first, I'll just introduce the panel. So today you have myself, Cecilia Asham, General Manager of Community Safety. I'm chairing the meeting today. We also have Ms. Marie Fenwick, who is the Director of Arts, Culture, and Heritage, and Mr. Michael Allen, who is the Acting Director for Real Estate Services. And we have also Mr. Wayne Craig here and other staff member that could answer questions should we have any. And I'll just go through some formalities. The design panel deals with form and character of the building, things such as parking, access, lighting, architecture, landscape, etc. We do not deal with land use and density that has already been set by council during the rezoning, or the zoning is already in place. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adopt the minutes from the Development Permit panel on March 27, 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Seconder? Michael? All those in favor? Okay. And the first item is development permit number 23-024119 is from Top Stream Management Limited for the property located at 8635, 8655, 8675, and 8695 Cook Crescent. And it is for development permits to construct 28 townhouse unit and 14 secondary suite on a site zoned townhousing ZT103. Parking structure townhouse in the Spires Road, Cook Crescent area. So with that, I would ask the proponent to step forward, introduce yourself, and present the project to the committee, please. Anybody from Topstream here?
Yes, my name is Kobe, and our team including Jeff, the architect, and Ewan, the landscape architect. Jeff and Ewan will do the presentation.
Okay, can I start? Or can I start now?
Sorry, who's that speaking?
It's Jeff from JS Architect.
Okay, are you going to share your screen with the drawings?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So let me start from this first page.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, panel members, the opportunity for us to present this townhouse development to the City Council. The proposed townhouse project is located at 8635 to 95 Cook Crescent, the Spires Road area in northeast portion of Brick House Village in the city center. The subject site is assembled by 4 existing single house lots. The site is bordered by single house and townhouse developments. There are multiple townhouse developments have been completed or received approval in recent years. When look at the surrounding townhouse developments, they are articulated in traditional or contemporary expression, or a style in between. Well, there are many common features can be easily identified among them, such as they all have gable roofs, similar scale of architectural forms, special treatment at ground level, similar material and proportion to each building segments. The proposed development gives a nod to its neighborhood and yet has its own unique character. We will explore it from the site context, floor plan functionality, building articulation, and the latest landscape integration. The subject lot is defined by. Okay, let me see. It's defined by multiple right-of-way in north and the west side, and end up often triangle area to the north, which the developer has dedicated it to city for future parkland use. In city's future plan, the existing Crook Crescent will be closed and become pedestrian connection to northern city area. The only accessible road will be Spires Road, and all the service facility, parking, and the main entrance will located at this very narrow street frontage. The challenge has been carefully studied and resolved by organizing different function area in a strategic way. Service area has been located at west corner, visually screened off the neighborhood property by existing and proposed landscape trees. Parking entrance is placed in the middle of the building with a large recessed area to allow for sufficient traffic buffer to Spires Road. The main entrance lobby sits beside the recessed area with full height glazing facing west to monitor the vehicle traffic within residence site. The development is comprised of total 28 suites with wide variety of unit type from 2-bedroom to 5 bedrooms. And 50% of the units includes a secondary suite for rental. With total potential 42 livable suites, the proposed development make a diligent contribution by responding to currently a nationwide house crisis. As mentioned, the subject lot is surrounded by multiple right-of-ways among north and west property line. This area has been designed as landscape pedestrian connections. In addition, there are more than 3 meters landscape strip around the building perimeters to provide a second layer of green space, or allow for private patio amenity between the sidewalk and the individual unit entrance. The live planned area are clearly identified in this page. It occupies 29.4% of the gross site area. Approximately 80% is located at the ground floor, and the rest of the green space are distributed at parking roof, the podium level. Our landscape architect will provide more details introduction regarding the landscape design. There are total 40 parking stalls has provided within the enclosed above ground parkade, including 6 waste parking. 4 accessible parking stores. Some stores have direct access to ground floor units. Okay, this area have direct access to the unit. The large courtyard is accessible through the main lobby and also from the north side, the staircase. Children play area are located south and the north end with maximum sunlight exposure. Common amenity in the middle. Over 3 meters private patio provided to most of the unit at this level. There are plenty green space provided at each side of the building and can be shared by ground and up-level units. And again, I will pass this opportunity to our landscape architect for detailed introduction. Sorry. There are generous roof deck amenity space provided to all suites. Roof patio are divided by glass screen to allow for plenty sunlight casting into the central courtyard. The architectural expression focuses on the wide variety of materiality, texture, and the color to create a vibrant streetscape. This concept is consistent at all building elevations, and yet with some variances. By using different material on ground floor to visually reduce height of building to create human scale entrance for each unit at ground level. Breaking up building mass using high contrast materials. The elevation presents smaller scale to respect the cross street single house building style. Between the open space, vertical metal tube elements with lighting bubbles hanging over the amenity space to fill in the space to vibrate building frontage, both in day and night times. The lighting also plays a very important role in aesthetic integration for visual interest. Architectural articulation continues around the corner unit by the same material and treatment to carry the front facade and treatment to full elevation at same street frontage. This page shows how each side of the building being treated equally important and all having consistent visual interest. The north and south streetscapes shows the architectural pitch roofs style in respect to the neighboring building. The facade is basically symmetric and yet having variance in material and architectural features. Different color of material has been selected to provide individuality to each block. 4 different colors has been assigned to 4 building blocks with different meaning. So yellow means sun, orange as land, blue represents water, and green is life. The design provides unique identity to each block and create easy way finding iconic for residents as well as to all visitors. A signboard for each building block is mounted at the corner to catch pedestrians' attention. The building main entrance has been highlighted in design by a large scale engine frame, 4-height glazing lobby, and both adjust ladder facing Spire Road. Stable, security, durable, and high-quality materials are selected for the project, including hardy cement board, low-E glass, metal guardrail, and the natural walnut panels. This shadow study shows the proposed building has no negative shadow impact to neighbors, especially in summertime. And also we can see the children playground area is exposed to the maximum sunlight direction. Accessibility has also been prudently considered. Include 3 convertible units, 1 van access store, and 3 standard access parking stores. Upper unit also can be accessible from the elevator within the lobby area. Regarding sustainable strategy, the proposed building will be in compliance with Building Energy Step Code, Step 4 target. And of course, we will in compliance with the recently published BCBC Building Code 2024. We believe the development will establish itself as an integral piece of the neighborhood. With its urban and pedestrian quality, it will provide a convenient and easily navigable center for pedestrians in the Spirosol community area. So next, I will have our landscape architect to introduce how the landscape design has been integrated into the overall design concept. So Ewan, please.
Thanks, Jeff. So hi everyone. My name is Ewan from PMG Landscape Architects. Okay, I will introduce. I will give a brief introduction about landscape. So can you go to next page, please, Jeff? Okay, so this is the overall ground floor landscape plan. Along the 4 edges, we are proposing a large landscape to the yard. So each unit yard will have minimum 1 canopy trees, which also enhance the walking experience around the site. Trying to retain the existing trees along the west edge, which is the upside of this plan, the pathway and associated landscape will be installed around the tree protection zones. And also along this edge, a solid fence is proposed to ensure the site privacy. Next page, please, Jeff.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Okay, thanks. So this diagram we can see there's the 3 colors. The yellow one is showing the dedicated area. The red one is the right of way, which we have 4-meter green link inside of this red area, and also the blue area is another right of way. We also have 2 open corner plaza at the northeast and the southeast corner. Decorated paver and furniture are proposing in these 2 plaza, offer people to gather and interact with each other. Next page, please. At podium level, we are proposing numerous of the outdoor amenity areas through the site. Green buffer are carefully located around the outdoor amenity area for the privacy and noise mitigation. And again, large green with 1 tree is also provided for each yard on the podium level. Next page. So on podium level overall, we are proposing more than 2,300 square feet outdoor amenity area and more than 1,100 square meter feet like play areas, which is much more than required. 2 playgrounds are proposed at 2 ends. The south one, the south playground is for the kids age from 5 to 12, and north one is for the kids age from 2 to 5. A variety of the play equipment is proposed, ensuring multiple kids can play at the same time. So the seating is also provided around the playground for the parents to look after the kids. So in the center, the outdoor fitness equipment and the table tennis are proposed for the adult to use. Next page, please. So in each yard, we have layered pedestrian height planting and the foundation planting adjacent to the building. Open lawn area or patio at each yard provides enough space for residents to have some programs such as barbecue and table and chairs. Looking at this rendering on the left-hand side, we can see there's a hedge planting with metal gate around this yard to ensure yard privacy. Next page, please. For the lighting, overall, on the ground level, there are two types of lighting are proposed. One is wall lighting integrated with entry column, which is not only lit the residence yard entry, but also provide enough lights for the pathways. The other type of lights is recessed pot lights to lit the front door for each unit. Next page, please. At podium level, there are two architectural features with hanging LED lights tube at these two ends to lit outdoor amenity area. Next page, please. So overall on the site, each tree we propose will have enough soil volume to ensure its health. So the plants selection are primarily drought tolerant material, and also we will providing the high efficient irrigation for all the planting area. So that's all the presentation for the landscape. So Jeff, if you have anything you want to add for the presentation.
Yeah, we'd like to answer any questions from the panel members.
Thank you. We actually will have staff make some comments before giving the panel an opportunity to ask questions. So, Mr. Craig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one point of clarification. The triangular area north of the pedestrian greenway that is being established is not intended to be park. That area is a future development lot. We do expect that there will be a license agreement entered into to allow the residents of this development to use that area until that redevelopment occurs, but it is not a city park. Further to that, I would just indicate that there is a servicing agreement associated with this project for site services and frontage works. And I would like to commend the applicant on their efforts to integrate the 4 existing trees on the walkway along the western edge of the site. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Maybe one point of clarification, the northern triangular piece of property, you said that there will be possibly an agreement to allow the residents to use it. Would it be on title or some other means to make sure that in the long term, if the adjacent site doesn't develop for a while, that there's no confusion that this is not their property, just to avoid future conflict?
Through the chair, yes. The title of the property will be transferred to the city. The city anticipates entering into a license agreement to allow the residents of this strata to use that lot. That area will be fenced to prohibit public access.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I'll open the floor to the panel if there's any questions before I ask some questions myself. So Marie or Michael, any questions?
Yeah, I had a question about the secondary suites. How big are those units and how many bedrooms? And where is the access relative to the access to the primary unit?
Kobe maybe can answer these questions. Okay. Yeah, I can answer the only secondary suite can be accessed either from the ground level of, it's also accessible from the up levels. It's a little flexible for the big family member who can live in a different level of the suite. It's basically, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if I can add to this question is all the secondary suites actually is accessible from the ground level, from the street or from the right of way. And we have indoor stairs connect the secondary suite with the main suite. But when it's rented, so basically the door between them will be locked. And the size of our secondary suite is around 300 square foot, and some is larger, some a little bit closer to this number. And most of the size will be a studio, just the kitchen and the bedroom all together. Thank you.
Okay.
you.
Michael, do you have any questions?
You hear me fine? I didn't get a chance to check my mic. My apologies.
Sorry, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm asking that.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just going to ask you about the tree preservation. It seems like you've actually altered the plans to include the 2 trees to the west, or I should say the 4 trees to the west. If so, that's very commendable. And then I just was wondering about the trees in the triangular part. I guess that they're just on their own for now, and we'll see if they come out with respect to the license. Is that true?
Actually, in this triangle area, there's also several trees that need to be reserved. And according to our arborist report, so in together is actually some trees in this triangle and also the 4 trees on the west. That's all the trees to be reserved.
Okay. Does that satisfy your question, Michael? Okay, I guess I'll follow up with a couple of things first. I'm really pleased to hear that, if I heard correctly, the number of bedrooms went from 2 to 5 bedrooms, so a good variety of size to accommodate families and smaller units for younger folks just starting out. So, and I also like the fact that it's matched very well with the good variety of amenities to meet the active play and passive needs of all ages and abilities. So my question, one is, you had shown that piece in between the gaps of the building where there's some sculptural pieces that were hanging down in between the building. Is that part of public art contribution, or is that just a design element that you have incorporated?
No, it's not a part of the art contribution. Well, it's actually just our design. Try to make the project all connected between buildings, fill up the gaps. Okay. For the art contribution, we don't know what that we will get for that yet.
Okay. The other thing is, I know you actually most of my questions you've answered through your quite thorough presentation. Along the west side and the greenway, the lighting that you have shown, the lighting in the patio space, is already sufficient for both of those areas to be lit, because they are quite far away from the actual buildings themselves.
For the landscape-wise, we have 2 types of lights. One is on the building, showing it's recessed spotlights from the porch. Another one is actually coming from the post. Okay. So we have the post right on our property line area. So it's shedding some light to the right away.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think with that, you've answered my question. So, Mr. Clerk, is there any letters or public in the chamber ready to speak to this project?
Thank you, Madam Chairs. We didn't receive any correspondence for this item. And actually, we have one member of the public in chambers, but she would be needing a translator to make her comments, but the translator is not yet in chambers at this time.
Not yet. Are we expecting a translator?
She is expecting a translator, but the translator is not yet in chambers at this time.
Okay, and there are no letters currently to be read?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Okay. I would say that for the public individual in chamber, first of all, thank you for coming out to speak to the project. Unfortunately, we can't really hold up the proceedings to wait for your translator, and the city doesn't provide translation services. So if the translator arrives before we finish deliberation on this project, I will make an exception to hear the presentation. Otherwise, if I could suggest doing so in writing and working with staff, if Mr. Craig could take that into advisement to actually have staff meet with the public individual maybe after the meeting to see if it's something that can be addressed. I would reiterate that the panel does not deal with zoning or density. We are dealing with design elements, form, and character only. So it's things like lighting, the landscaping, the access, parking, and the architectural design of the building. So if there's any things that the individual needs clarification, such as the legal agreements or accessibility to the various spaces, staff could probably take that into advisement and address them after the meeting. Is that workable for you, Mr. Craig?
Chair, we're happy to provide information related to the proposal. Obviously, subject to council or panel endorsement, there's no ability to delegate further.
Thank you. Thank you for that reminder as well. So with that, I will go to the panel for any deliberation. So if anybody else wants to start, like Marie and or Michael, anything you want to talk about the project, make comments?
No, I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Michael?
Me neither, no.
Okay, so I guess I'll speak for us. This is a well thought out design. The form and character is quite modern, and as your presentation said, provides a nod to the existing surrounding area. So that's appreciated. A reminder that as the province come down with new legislation, the interface to the west may look quite different when the future development comes in. But I think with the setback and it being a interface of a walkway, it buffers these new residences a little bit from that development as well. So I don't know whether you guys actually put the thought into that ahead of time or whether it's happy coincidence, but either way, it's a good thing. And so with that, I would like to note that staff has a positive recommendation on this site. And if I could have somebody move an approval for this site.
Move to approve.
Okay, and I see Michael seconded. All those in favor? Okay, so thank you. And you have an approval, so you will be going to council as soon as you can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And if we could get the next group to get ready for the presentation, I will read out the application while you're getting ready. And it's development permit 23-029453 from Forgier Architecture, Inc. And it's a property located in 10611 and 10751 River Drive. And it is for the construction of a mid-rise residential development comprising of 181 residential units, including 18 low end of market rental Lima units and 13 market rental units. It on the site zoned low to mid-rise apartment ZLR 46 in Bridgeport. So with that, I would ask somebody from the architect's office to share screen with your drawings and state your name and start the presentation, please.
I'm trying to share the screen right now. Hang on one second. Good afternoon. My name is Wayne Fougere. I'm the architect for this project. Ewan Ron, the project's landscape architect from PMG, will also be presenting. Rav Baines, John Chua, and Steve Jedrich from Baines Properties, as well as Sajna Jamaluddin from my office are also present. This project is located in the Bridgeport area plan on the northwest corner of the River Drive and Shell Road intersection. While the property wasn't officially part of the Park Riviera master plan that the city approved in 2012, It was contemplated by and illustrated in the master plan. Our River Point development completes the north side of River Drive between number 4 and Shell Road in a manner generally consistent with the original plan. Both PMG and my office designed the developments in phases 2, 3, and 4, and PMG also designed the Tate Riverfront Community Park. Our neighbors to the west are townhouses and stacked townhouses. Our eastern neighbors across Shell Road are industrial properties. There are single-family homes across River Drive to the south, and the Fraser River is immediately north of our development. The property is almost 2.5 acres in size. Our design follows the original master plan intention that envisioned lower building forms along River Drive, stepping up to larger apartment buildings closer to the river. The 2 buildings along River Drive are 2 and 4 stories high. The buildings behind step up to 6 stories. There are 181 homes in 3 apartment buildings. Buildings 1 and 2 have 150 strata units. There are 31 homes in Building 3, including 13 market rental and 18 lemur units. The development is surrounded by streets and public walkways. The greenway along our west property line and the multi-use path along Shell Road provide access from River Drive to the dike. A generous space has been set aside at the corner, at the intersection of Shell Road and River Drive for an art piece to mark the eastern end of River Drive. Access to the underground garage is from River Drive. Visitor parking is located at the front of the underground garage, and a lift and stair connect the visitor parking to the podium and the buildings above. The residential parking is secured with overhead gates, and access is provided to the buildings above via elevators, as well as stairwells that connect to the central open space. The central walkway leads from River Drive up to the main square in the center of the site. The ground floor entries of each building can be accessed from the courtyard or from surrounding public sidewalks. The courtyard in the middle of this development also acts as a community space for residents. In addition to the main courtyard entrances, all 3 apartment buildings have secondary entries. Building 3 has an entrance from River Drive sidewalk. Building 2 has an entrance from the Shell Road multi-use path. And Building 1 has an entrance from the greenway along our west property line. In addition to the main pedestrian access to the courtyard from River Drive, there's also a minor east-west walkway through the site from the greenway to Shell Road, and a walkway from the courtyard to the dike. To further strengthen the connection between the buildings and surrounding streets, street-facing apartment buildings have lower living areas and patios that are approximately 4 feet above the public sidewalk. Homes overlook the public sidewalk and the greenway and provide surveillance of the public space. Landscaping and fencing provide a visual separation between the public and common realms to the private patios. The River Drive sidewalk, the Shell Road multi-use path, the greenway along the west side of our site, and the trail on top of the dike are accessible to people in wheelchairs, but the access from Shell Road to the dike will have a steep slope and therefore won't be accessible. On-site accessible pathways provide access from and to the River Drive sidewalk, the amenity building, all 3 apartment buildings, and the central courtyard. There are are 91 homes with basic universal housing features spread throughout all 3 buildings and on every floor level. These homes include studios, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom unit types. The building design uses the same architectural language as the apartments in Phase 1 and the Park Portofino development currently under construction. We use frames and horizontal bands to structure and organize the building form. The main materials include hardy panel, hardy horizontal siding, and a hardy version of board and batten siding. The color selection is nature-inspired to connect with the surrounding environment, including the water and silt of the Fraser River and the green vegetation lining the banks of the river and the nearby Bridgeport Trail. The main body of the building is white, but it's balanced with color and material accents in blues, greens, and warm neutral tones. Color and material are used to complement the building form. While white is the dominant color on most walls, the ground floor is clad in a hardy board and batten siding with a warm dark gray stain. Blue and green hardy panel clad walls are used on vertical portions of the building to help break up the massing and to add interest to the building. We have a variety of indoor and outdoor common areas. The outdoor amenity space in the center of the site is a large trapezoidal courtyard that's more than a half acre in size with an average dimension of about 190 by 130 feet. The courtyard is easily accessed from all apartment buildings, as well as by the central walkway from River Drive and minor walkways from Shell Road, the Greenway, and the Dyke. The central open space features extensive landscaping along with seating and gathering areas, and provides both sunny and shaded areas to ensure usability throughout the year. Homes overlooking the courtyard provide passive surveillance of common spaces, especially the child's play area. The amenity building is located on the southwest corner of the site. It features a large community room with a kitchen, bathroom, a small gym, and a guest suite. A balcony offers a sunlit outdoor space overlooking River Drive. The amenity building's location, adjacent to both the courtyard and the street, as well as the integration of the lift from the visitor parking, ensures the indoor amenity is accessible by both residents and visitors. In addition to the amenity building, there are 2 smaller multi-purpose rooms in buildings 1 and 2. At this time, I'd like to invite Ewan to share his screen and present his landscape design.
Thanks, Wayne. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. So the overall landscape design has been developed with will concentrate on the pedestrian connectivity and interaction. So achieve this goal, the ground plan has been developed to encourage a street-friendly presence. So that each unit at ground level or courtyard podium level will have its own front door and some usable outdoor area for the furniture such as barbecue tables and chairs. This semi-private space is separated from the public street with the interaction of the great transition with a low decorated wall and a buffer of the large landscaping consists of canopy trees, evergreen shrub, and some plants. Within the internal courtyard, all the building entrance lobby has been opened up and integrate with some of the furnitures like bench or bike racks. We want this entrance to be prominent and inviting. So the seating areas allows for friends and neighbors to meet up or for a person to wait for their friends. The biggest challenge we have in this courtyard is the fire truck access versus landscape area and people activities. We have been working very hard with architect on this. Landscape is proposed as much as we can in this courtyard, excluding the necessary exit, the pathway, and the fire truck, the path. Painted games also added and proposed on this kind of courtyard to add play values to this area when it is not used by the fire truck. So therefore, this courtyard has been reinforced as people place where neighbors can interact and the children can play on it. There are also variety of the outdoor playground, outdoor programming, which concentrate in 3 zones. At the south end, there are open lawn area with mounds and playgrounds and table tennis, which allows numerous kids to play at the same time. So in the middle, we have social interaction area, the barbecue, launch seating. And another zone is next to the indoor amenity area. We're proposing some the play elements, this playground with some creative play elements. So this 3 programmed zone is connected by this tricycle pathway. Overall, the pedestrian walkway are being provided around the site and within through the site. We have 3 fully accessible pathways from the south to the north. One is along the west edge, one is go through the courtyard, and one is go on the east edge. And also we have another pathway from the east to the west going through the site. So overall, the landscape, the plants are primarily drought tolerant with the focus on for the pollinators and birds. We will be providing the high efficient irrigation for all landscape beds. All the perimeter planting area are at the grade to allow good volume of the growing media and for the trees to reach the natural water table underground. And pavers we propose in the courtyard is in the light color. So that's all for landscape. Wayne, if you have anything to add.
Okay, thank you, Ewan. That concludes our presentation. We're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Actually, while we have this on the screen, so can you just please clarify one item for me? The central access, the fire truck access to the dike, is that also intended for public access too, or is that just because I imagine to the east and the west, the perimeter walkways are for public access, but are you intending for the general public to be able to go through the site in the middle?
We wouldn't expect them to go through the site, but it's not gated.
Okay.
It's not locked, so people can meander, but it's really a semi-private area for residents and guests.
Okay. And I was also thinking about, while it's wide enough for fire trucks to access, do you have anything that you've built in to prevent people for convenience purposes using it as a driveway to load and unload, therefore creating some hazard for kids that are playing? Because hopefully for everybody's sake, fire truck doesn't visit very often.
So there's no intention to allow private vehicles. In the servicing agreement and in our drawings, we show a rollover curb and grass-crete paving in the boulevard, not a regular letdown. Mm-hmm. So it'll fade away. Plus there'll be signage for no entrance to other than emergency vehicles.
Okay.
There will be, for those that are dropping off pizzas or whatever, there's a time-limited parking in front of Building 3. And for any loading trucks, there's a loading area just south of the amenity building.
Okay, I appreciate that. I just think in the end you might need to make some adjustments. I hope people surprise me, but that's my prediction. In the meantime, if staff, Mr. Craig, if you wouldn't mind making your comments.
Thank you. Ewan, if you could stop sharing your screen. Just a couple comments, Madam Chair. In terms of the rental building fronting River Drive, the rental units will be secured through housing agreements, and the developer has entered into a memorandum of understanding with a nonprofit organization for the management of those units. There is a servicing agreement associated with this development for frontage works on River Drive and Shell Road and site services. There is a separate servicing agreement underway for dike construction and dike pathways. In terms of the project, there is also a extensive transportation demand management package included, which involves the provision of transit passes to 15% of the strata units, as well as an increase in on-site bicycle storage facilities and the inclusion of a bicycle maintenance facility. I would also just like to point out that in terms of the overall development, it does achieve more than 70% of the units as family-friendly units, being 2-bedroom or larger.
Thank you, Wayne. Other panel members, Marie and Michael, questions?
I have a couple questions. I was just wondering, the lemur units, is it, you mentioned they're in the one building. I just wanted to see, they're all the lemur buildings, or all the lemur units are specifically in that one southeast building? And then the other question I had was, I noticed there's aging in place features. I was just wondering if you could describe them a little bit and mention how extensive they are.
Through the chair, all of the units include aging in place features. These include stairwell handrails where appropriate, lever type handles for plumbing fixtures and door handles, and solid blocking in washroom walls to facilitate future grab bar installation beside toilets, bathtubs, and showers.
Thank you.
And just to follow up on that, Ms. Badial, so there are no handicap, no fully accessible units. They are all universal units.
That is correct, Madam Chair. There are no fully accessible units included in the proposal, and there are basic universal housing. There are 91 basic universal housing units in the development. That's 16 of the lemur units, 10 of the market rental units, and 65 market strata units.
Thank you. Is that all your questions, Michael?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
I just had a question about the access to the dike. You mentioned there was some of the access points were accessible, and the other one is it looks like there's a set of stairs or something that go up to the dike. Is that what that is at that end?
Through the chair, the passageway that was referred to as being too steep to allow for wheelchair access is actually a dike maintenance vehicle access road up to the dike. So in terms of, and people are, it's not closed off. Members of the public are able to use that access road, but it's sloped for trucks and it's not sloped for persons in wheelchairs. There, as the architect mentioned, there will be a public walkway along the west edge of the site in a statutory right-of-way that will accommodate wheelchair friendly access to the dike walkway, as well as meandering through the mid-block city park.
Thank you. And just curious at where you are in your public art planning process and what the thoughts are for that corner, or if you've gotten to that part yet.
We have. I'm going to let Steve answer that question.
We successfully presented at the Public Art Commission last week. We have our public art consultant, Jen Ballard, who's reported back to the Public Art Commission. and we're continuing with the next phase on that. I'm sure your public art liaison can contribute a report to that. If not, we can have our public art consultant do that for you.
Yeah, no, great. Thank you.
And in addition to that, we will try to select a local Richmond-based architect that's intimate artist with the history of the area and the site.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. If I remember correctly, there is a private geothermal utility in this neighborhood. Is that correct? Is this property connected to that, or is it independent?
Through the chair, there is a privately owned geo utility. It's located closer to phase 1 and 2. And unfortunately, phases 3 and 4 of Park Riviera were not able to connect to it because of it's privately owned, and putting pipes out into city property was not achievable, and therefore also not achievable for this property. There is no city district energy utility currently in place or envisioned in this neighborhood at this time for this development to connect to.
And what level of step code would this development be constructed to then?
It's designed to step code 3 plus EL2.
Okay, thank you. And my other point is this is the last piece, if I'm correct, to complete this neighborhood, last piece of land before it hits the industrial area. So I'm sure the neighborhood will be really pleased to have this completed and the construction completed, and for the neighborhood to mature and come into its own. So hopefully that things will go well and everybody will be moving in before we know it. So it's good to see this done. So with that, Mr. Clerk, is there anybody in the public in the chamber to speak on to this project and or letters to be read in?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have 2 members of the public wanting to speak on this item.
Okay, so if we can have the public comment first. So for those individuals that are preparing to speak, please come up to the podium in the middle and state your name and address, and then you have time you can delegate on this.
Thank you. It's Sandra Lindahl, 10766 River Drive. I have about 6 questions. First one, we had talked, first of all, I want to thank you for including my comments from the June 19th, 2023 meeting on page 134 of the development permit, and I was reading through the comments. So, first question, is the pest control in place now?
So maybe if you could ask all 6 questions and then we can have them answer all together, if you don't mind.
Okay. On page 135 and 136, there are sort of 2 sets of numbers for the number of units. Page 135 says 1610 and 65, or 1813 and 150, and on another page, the next page, different numbers. So I'm still not sure how much of each there are. The question to the city is who will monitor the quantities of these affordable housing units that they're actually built, because there have been other developments where I've noticed that they didn't actually come into being. It's noted that the developer notes that we have trouble with dirt, dust, flat tires from nails, etc. And the notes say that we should then contact the developer if we have problems. And my question to the city is, if we don't get satisfaction, from where do we go from there? The units don't have grab bars, but the infrastructure is such that they can be put in when necessary, and that's great. But then who pays for it? The renter, or does the strata pay for it? And the same thing with the BUH units. If someone it needs to use a wheelchair, it can be made into an accessible unit, but at whose cost is that? I'm thinking that in that low-end market space, people are not going to be able to afford these changes if they turn out that they need them. Now, the next one is the underground parking driveway coming out onto River Drive, I suspect comes right out into our driveway on the south side. I still can't quite tell from the diagrams where it is. If somebody could point that out, I'd appreciate it. And last question, I just would like to say to the city's traffic impact assessment, the professional that assessed it and who says that it can accommodate the additional traffic, that I strongly disagree with that. Those of us living on the south side have real problems getting out into our yards and out onto the yards, particularly since the road was raised, which was a provincial regulation, I realize that, but it's not as easy to get in and out. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindell. So if we can have different people answer the questions, I think the first one has to do with pest control in place. I don't know if it's staff that can answer that question, or is it the developer?
Through the chair, that would be the applicant.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, to the delegate through Madam Chair, we do have a pest control company already commissioned to do the work. Once the tenants have moved out, which is expected to be end of May, and prior to demolition work commencing, we will have pest control mechanism in place.
Okay, and then question number 2, the clarification on the number of the various units. So if the applicant can take that on, please.
Do you want to know the numbers of every single type of unit, like studios and 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, or just the fact that there are 150 strata units? There are 31 rental units, of which 13 are market rental and 18 are lemur units, low-end market rental. Do you need a more defined breakdown?
No, that's fine. It's just that those numbers disagreed with some numbers on another page. But it's the 18, 13, 150, totaling 181 that is correct.
That's true.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I think the third question has to do with who will be, if there's complaints during construction, and how do you contact the developer, and if that is not satisfactory, what would the city do? So I will let the developer answer the first one, and I will answer the second half, which is if there is any concerns, you can call the bylaws department, and then we will certainly to deal with noise or construction debris or traffic management. If you call the bylaws department, we will send inspectors out and follow up with that. So if the applicant could answer who will be, who they can contact.
Yes, ma'am. I personally will take responsibility, and I do affirm once again, as I did at public hearing, that we will make every conscious effort to make sure that there's no disturbance to our neighbors to the north or any other neighbor on that block. Any dust obviously will be controlled with any mechanisms that we have in place, and nails have been a common concern over here as well, that we will be monitoring this on a daily basis, and we'll take full responsibility if there is anything like that, but we'll make absolute measures to make sure that this doesn't happen. We are going to be continuing our outreach with our neighbors and making sure if there are any concerns that can be dealt with, we will deal with them right away. So that will be addressed through ongoing outreach, and my contact information has been given to the delegate at public hearing, but we'll continue to maintain contact with them during the course of construction.
And if staff could just verify, usually on the site signage, we also have a number for the city's contact as well. So, it's easily accessible for the public, because I was going to give it out, but I can't remember it for the life of me right now. So that would be available on site. So I would group number 4, 5, and 6 together. Really, I believe that is to clarify some of the accessible features that are not put in currently, but could be put in place when somebody needs it, who would be responsible for the cost, both in the market unit and the low income unit. So the developer and or the city can answer that, and then somebody can pull up the plans and show where the driveway is. And then I will leave Mr. Craig to answer the last one, which is the traffic impact assessment study. So.
Okay, good. I'm trying to grab bars. So the difference between the aging in place features, which is the blocking in walls that would require grab bars, and the BUH units, or the issue is that the BUH units provide the space that the wheelchairs need. So they're still going to need the grab bars. They might need changes to tubs, but who pays for it? Well, I would guess the owner of the suite pays for it, which would be the old rental company for rental buildings and the strata owners of the strata units, I would think. As for the location, I'm going to share my screen again, if I can find it. Just one second. You want to look at unit plans. You can see that these basic universal housing have dimensional features in the rooms that show the type of space you need that's required by basic universal housing, in front of doorways, in front of toilets, sinks, and tubs.
Mr. Fougere, I was thank you for that. I was more meaning the driveway location. I believe that was one of the questions.
Yeah. Just wondering. And that is here. So this parking access is right here at the edge of the site, the western edge of the site.
Okay. And then Mr. Craig, if you could take on the traffic impact assessment question, or one of the staff members.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think there was one additional question before I get into the traffic, and that was, how does the city ensure that the rental units and the affordable units are used for rental purposes? The city will be registering a housing agreement on title of the property. The housing agreements come with the obligation to provide statutory declarations to the city on a periodic basis to ensure that those units are rented, and that those units are, the affordable units are rented by tenants who qualify for the affordable housing strategy. In terms of the traffic impact assessment at the rezoning stage, this development was reviewed by the city's transportation department as well as an independent third party, and that is how that statement was arrived at.
So, okay, thank you everybody for the answers to the questions.
Thank you.
And with that, is there any letters to be read in for this project?
I believe there is another delegation.
Madam Chair.
Oh, pardon me. My apologies.
Yeah.
And could the second delegate please step up and introduce yourself and make your delegation on?
Yeah, my name's Harley Bonner. I live at 2401 Shell, directly across the street there. So I just wanted to ask about a couple questions. One about the parking. So are you guys having a parking spot for each unit that you're building in the property? I'm just a bit concerned about the parking, which is already kind of full with all the other new developments that have come.
And similar to the first delegate, if you wouldn't mind giving us all the questions, and then we'll have them answer them one by one.
Okay, yeah, and then I just wondering if they have a plan for some mitigation of dirt and stuff like that affecting the properties directly south of the construction.
If I could clarify, do you mean during construction as in dust, that kind of dirt, not as in moving dirt onto your property?
Yeah, do they have a plan to maybe water the street, or do they have any plan to, the properties get quite dirty from the dust of the construction trucks and the dump trucks and all that kind of stuff? Just wondering if anybody's thinking about the houses across the way.
Yeah, understood. Any further questions?
Nope. I was curious about the timeline for the construction of the building, but I guess it has to get approved before you have a timeline.
Right. Okay. So those sounds like all developer or architect can answer all three questions. Number one is to do with the number of parking versus the number of units, and maybe Mr. Craig could follow up with a note to say whether what they are proposing meet or exceed the city's requirements. And then number two is the plan to mitigate any dust, dirt during construction. And number three is the timeline of construction. So,
okay, let me start by saying that we have 181 homes, 274 cars, and 418 bicycle parking stalls. So,
okay.
Yep. That's not part of it.
Again, if Mr. Craig could follow up on how does that meet, or how is that compared to what the city requirement is?
Through the chair, that is consistent with the city zoning requirement for a development of this size.
Okay, thank you. And then please carry on number two on the mitigation plan for dirt during construction, dust and dirt.
As part of good construction practice, once the road sees dirt that is beyond normal, we would have the road flushed with a flusher and make sure that there's no dust as a result of construction that is ending up on our neighbors' properties. So that will be exercised on a need basis.
And then I think the last question I heard is regarding the timeline. So any thoughts on that?
Timing obviously does depend on approvals and sales and marketing. We would intend to start the project later this year. We are going to be doing demolition and prep work in the meantime. So construction really starts with demo. Demo will be starting in June. Demolition permits have already been applied for.
Okay, thank you.
Could I just ask one more thing? I'm just curious, when he says as in need, does that mean as in when you guys decide there's kind of problems with the properties across the way, or you have issues from the people living across the way? Because I know the
idea is not to flush the road when we have a complaint. The idea is to keep the road clean so there is no complaint.
Okay, because I feel like the townhomes across the way that are just in construction right now, there hasn't been really any attention to that at all.
Okay, and again, it sounds like the developer is making at least good promises that he would be a good neighbor. And again, I would say that the city's bylaws department's number will be posted on site. So if there's any follow-up that we need to do from the city side, we certainly will do that as well. So with that, I think we have all the questions answered. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. So going to panel deliberation, again, there is a positive recommendation from staff on the project. So with that, could I have somebody move the project for approval of endorsement to go forward to council?
Move.
Second, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you very much. So I will now let the third item, the third development, come and set up online. It's development permit 23-035339 And thank you, Wayne and company. You guys can go forward and get yourself to council as soon as you can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. And back to the third application. The applicant is Gustafson Wiley Architect, Inc., and the project is at 18399 Blundell Road, and it's for development permit to permit the construction of 2 single-story building with drive-through restaurant uses at on the site, zone industrial. And so if the architect could get your drawings up on the screen, and then you can tell us your name and start the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the panel's time today. My name is David Chung, and I'm the project architect at Gustafson Wiley Architects. I'm here today with Christy Volker, who's the landscape architect, and she will present the project towards the end of this brief presentation. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So our project is located in East Richmond in the Fraserlands industrial area. And the site, for the most part, is surrounded by very large industrial storage warehouses for the likes of Purolator, Coca-Cola, Sleep Country Canada, etc. And to the east, we have the Lafarge concrete plant. Some background, a development permit was actually obtained about 3 years ago, but through a series of unfortunate events, it never got built, and hence why we're back here today to reintroduce the project. What I would like to say is that the area itself is owned by the Seagulls family, and most of you may have already heard about Joe Seagull. He was the Order of BC recipient, a philanthropist, and a mentor. But he passed away about 3 years ago and left behind quite a legacy. He owns actually just under 1 million square feet of all the lands in this area. And he had always imagined that this last parcel of land could be used for a service. But in his untimely passing away, he was 96. His wife also passed away last year, which was very unfortunate as well. And so there were some delays there. As well, the former owner's representative project manager had also retired, and the original design of the project done by CTA Design also had changed ownership. And so the new owner's representative, who works a lot with Gustafson Wiley, had asked if I would be interested in taking over this project, and hence why I'm here today. The site itself, as you can see, has already been prepped. And there was pre-loading done, and the city services sidewalks is quite already there. There's a pump house to the southeast corner. All of that's actually in place, and we're actually ready to actually construct the buildings. The area itself is right turn in and right turn out along Blundell, but there's also an access point along Blundell that you can turn left into the site. The thing about what we're trying to accomplish here is we want to create somewhat of a service oasis. For the most part, there's actually no services around this area, with the exception of the Tempo, which is on Westminster Highway and Nelson Road, and also Tugboat Annie, which is about a 10-minute drive away from this warehouse community, and it does not open in the early morning hours. So as I mentioned before, our access along Nelson is right in and right out, but we do have an access point along Blundell that you can turn left over to here. And what we're proposing is 2 facing buildings with a central courtyard. The buildings themselves are about just over 8,000 square feet, and the central courtyard is about 1,000 square feet. They are intended to be for restaurant use, with 2 of them available for drive-throughs, and the other remaining 3 could be typical inline sort of quick service restaurant types. The project obviously had their own screen garbage enclosures. We have loading bays. Overall, we have about 64 parking stalls, 9 of which will be dedicated for electrical charging vehicles. And we also have 2 accessible parking stalls near the front entries. The site and the area has been designed for accessibility, so the pathways from the accessible stalls to the front entries for all the restaurants and the drive-through restaurants will be within the building code parameters. We also have bicycle parking to the City of Richmond's bylaw requirements, and as well as loading. And our drive-through itself will be able to accommodate a minimum of 8 queuing, but we have 9 here, and we also have a double queuing here for 13 cars. For the form and character, the project is 1 story. This is just the floor plans. So this is building A. It's 1 story. And it's about approximately 20 feet or 5.9 meters high. The form is articulated with differing parapet heights and extended canopies. The parapets are designed so the rooftop units that are on the roof can be screened when viewing from below. We have a series of renderings that kind of show what the form and character of the building will look like. From the original design that was in the first development permit, the building was proposed to be tilt-up concrete, but because of the sustainability requirements that we're now faced with, we have decided to go with a insulated metal panel system, and we'll also have glazing, tinted glazing, aluminum storefronts, and of course extended canopies that will provide weather protection and access to the front door. The project itself, from the context photos that you had seen before, we're trying to create a sense of a bit of a service oasis, because it's quite a bleak environment when you look at the building surrounding it. They're just blank, tilt-up concrete walls. So we're trying to provide some contrasting colors, particularly this red band that we have underneath the canopies. Just to make it a little bit more interesting. And also the fact that we have this central courtyard with some type of an awning feature, which will be like umbrellas, we believe will animate the space and create a nice area for the community to go to. So with that, I will actually stop my presentation and let Christy go over the landscaping portion.
Hi, everybody. My name's Christy. I just shared my screen. Can you confirm that you see that?
I see it, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So David's given us a good introduction. I thought I'd just walk you through the landscape portion of the proposed project. So we have Nelson on this side and Blendell here. So there's an existing sidewalk that comes through. We are proposing 3 pedestrian entries to come from the sidewalk to the project. We've changed the paving type as it crosses across the drive lane, just to indicate to vehicles that there are pedestrians coming through here and it's a safe passage of travel. We're trying to keep safe sight lines for pedestrians as they move through the spaces and limit visual obstructions. David also mentioned we have a central amenity area, so users who are coming to these places have a nice area to sit. We're providing some shade for those hot summer days that we seem to be getting more and more of, and we've provided a variety of different seating options, including accessible options and multi-user options. David's also covered the bicycle parking, which we've met the requirements over here. We have both a bike locker and bike racks. As far as the planting, we tried to keep in mind year-round interest, evergreen plantings, low maintenance, and sightlines. Again, we don't want to create any large plantings that are going to restrict vehicle visuals to pedestrians that are traveling through these spaces. We have a series of large canopy trees on the south of the project that will help offer some shade to the parking lot and reduce some of the heat island effect that we're going to be experiencing. The plant palette also includes some pops of color throughout the season to give some visual interest to the landscape, and we will be automatically irrigating the landscape as well. We're also proposing that the hardscape materials of the plaza and the pedestrian walkway connections are to be a permeable paver to help manage stormwater runoff. And I think that's it for the landscape.
Thank you. And I will ask Mr. Craig to make comments from the staff perspective first, and then the panel can ask some questions afterwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few brief comments. The drive-through for this site will include automated voice control systems to adjust speaker volume to ensure compliance with the city's noise bylaw. The project does include the provision of 9 EV charging stations, and there was a servicing agreement entered into as part of the previous development permit panel or development permit approval for frontage works, and those frontage works have been completed.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the panel? Michael?
I was asking a question about what Wayne had mentioned, actually, the automatic volume control. I was just wondering how exactly it works and if there's been previous success noted with that before.
Applicant want to take that question on? Yeah.
Take that one?
Sure. We've actually done many quick service restaurants in the past, including McDonald's and Tim Hortons. And what the drive-through active speaker system consists of is it monitors the ambient noise, and if during the daytime, if it's very loud with truck traffic, etc., it will increase the sound of the speakers so that the person who's making the order will be able to hear the person behind the till. On the evening side, when there's less ambient noise, the system will be able to decrease the sound, the microphone, etc., so that it won't be as loud when they're speaking back to the person who's making the order.
And it's been quite successful.
It has been, yes, and it's being used all over.
Okay. Any questions from Marie?
No, interesting to learn about that. That's something I hadn't heard of before. I think just a comment, I liked your reference to this as an oasis in that area, you know, being a little bit familiar with just driving through. There aren't many places not many services or amenities for people working in that area. So this seems like it will be an appreciated addition.
Thank you. And then I guess following up on that, I think, David, you did mention that you anticipate that these outlets will have full day, early morning to late night to address the needs of the workers in the area, because I imagine a lot of them are on shift work. So they might have business in the middle of the night when... Right. Okay. A couple of questions of my own. I heard the landscape architect talk about biking infrastructure. What I didn't hear is any shower facilities for workers in the unlikely event that the workers are actually cycling to the site. Can you guys comment on that?
That's a very good question. And these end-of-trip facilities, certainly we've seen a lot of for office workers. However, for these small developments, I think it would be quite difficult to sort of establish that area. Because once you put the shower facility, you also have to make it accessible. They're not normally put in these facilities, so it would be quite challenging for the owner to, or at least the tenants moving in, to consider that.
Okay. I will take that as a acceptable answer, because, you know, the total square footage is is not small, but I accept that they are divided up into individual retail units. The other question to the landscape architect is I do appreciate having that central courtyard with the awning or suggestion of a canopy. What I would like to ensure is the trees. You also talk about having shade trees in that area. Are they in planters or are they actually in the ground? I just want to ensure that they have enough soil for them to actually grow into shade trees. And secondly, is there on irrigation system to ensure that the plants, not just in that area, but all around the perimeter will be irrigated as well? Because, it's a fairly gray, very concrete-y kind of environment. So,
yes, there will be automatic irrigation to all planting. And this whole area at this time is all on grade. It's not on parquet slab, so we'll have adequate soil volumes and soil depths. As far as the amenity space, they'll be in raised planters. So the limitation, we also have limited space in there for area. So there will be some small trees in there, but they won't end up growing to be large. We just don't have the space or the soil volume to do that in that location, but they are in raised planters. And
okay, that's unfortunate, because I think that's where you really want the trees to be big if you to achieve what you want, but you have also added the canopy on top of that too. So thank you. So with that, again, there is Mr. Clerk, is there anybody in the chamber to speak to this or any written correspondence?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's no one in chambers to speak on this item, and we didn't receive any correspondence for this item as well.
Thank you. So with that, we can go to panel deliberation. Once again, there is a positive recommendation, and through the presentation, we understand that this project basically already started once. This is really completing the project. So I would recommend that we make a motion for the approval of this project.
So moved.
I see. Yeah, thank you. And all those in favor? Okay, thank you, everybody. So you've got it. Good luck. I'm sure that the area workers will be looking forward to this very much. So thank you. And Mr. Craig, is there any new business?
No new business, Madam Chair.
And then the next meeting date is May 15th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Perfect. And with that, can somebody please move adjournment?
Move adjournment.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.